Welcome everyone to the Kallins Little Delgado Scholarship for 2016. This is our 11th year of awarding scholarships to rising seniors in Bradenton, Manatee County. And I thought I'd give you a couple of statistics. 11 years, we've had 112 scholarships awarded over that period of time. And as of the last calculation, we've awarded about $163,000 to very deserving high school seniors. This year we had just over 100 applications, and of those 100 applications, all of which, by the way, we read. We read them all. We go through all of them. We read the essays. We look at your community service hours. We take a look at your transcripts with great envy, might I add. We managed to cull all of the transcripts and all of the applications down to 10. And of those 10, you all know who you are, seated in your chairs, anxiously awaiting your check. And that's what we do. We give you a check. We don't send the money off to the school. We give you this award so that you can buy your books or buy some clothes or buy the necessary things that you think you may need as you embark off to college. Melton and Jimmy and Jay and I realize and remember those days when you wondered how you were going to do those things. And we feel as though it's a great benefit that you can have your money before you head off, buy some of the things that you need in order to competently, carefully, and cautiously start your college career. So we want to say congratulations to all of you. We want you to realize that we have a goal. Our goal is to recognize all of you for your accomplishments, your sacrifices, and your achievements. We know you sacrifice. In order to have the type of transcripts that all of you have provided to us, it's obvious that you all worked really hard. We want to reward you for your efforts. We want to encourage you to continue to strive to do well. We would like you to see our overwhelming goal, and I think I've probably told all of you this, is to hope that you go off to college, that you study your chosen field, that you do really well at it, and you embark out into your profession. But once you acquire all of those skills, you bring them back to Manatee County. You bring them back to us. We live in a great place. We have a wonderful climate. We have tremendous infrastructure, atmosphere, everything. It's a great place to live. But we really want to have skilled, capable, and bright people like you come back and help this community continue to strive forward. That's really our goal. So, we have a great program tonight. We have a very interesting keynote speaker. We also have members of the community who, in many cases, are very well known, who are going to add to your experience here tonight by telling you a little bit about themselves, why they're here, and what they hope to see in your future. So on behalf of Melton and Jay and Jimmy and myself, first we want to thank Ann and Heather for putting on this function. They do a really great job. They work really hard on it. And we also would like to thank our family and our friends for supporting us in this endeavor. So I'm going to invite Jimmy Delgado up to the microphone to introduce our speaker and our keynote address guest. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, Scotty. All right. Good evening. My name is Jim Delgado. I think I met every one of you, and I haven't. That's probably because you were late. Sorry. Before we get started, they don't like to take much of the credit, but I want to thank Scott and Melton for this. I don't know if you guys know this, but they decided to do this on their own. I wish I could take credit for this, but they decided to reach in their pockets 11 years ago and do this for you guys. Can't hear? Talking to that mic. Which one? This one? Oh, okay, hold on. Because you had it for Scott height, not for Jimmy height. I did start it. We're going to have a lot of fun tonight. I just want to thank them. You couldn't have better partners or friends. If you're going to go in a partnership with somebody, these are the guys you want. Two of the not only finest attorneys in town, but two of the finest people that I've ever met in my life. So it's a pleasure to attach my name to them and kind of just get on their coattails and ride it out. Our first speaker tonight, very happy, Dr. Sandra Stone. I've come to know her in the last year and a half. She's new to our area. She is the regional chancellor of University of South Florida at Sarasota Manatee. As you might be aware, we have a few years ago, I believe it was 3 years ago, we had our first full freshman through senior class that got the full accreditation, and Dr. Stone is our leader. There's different types of people in this world. There's leaders, there's followers, there's worker bees, and there's those that you help out. Because let's face it, they don't pull their weight and you gotta help them out. Dr. Stone is a leader, fantastic person. She's a Chicago native. Early in her childhood, she moved to Tennessee to her grandparents' farm. She moved to Atlanta, and I'm not gonna say the year, but she moved to Atlanta with her family. Talk about overachieving. She holds bachelor's degrees in sociology and psychology and a master's degree in psychology from the University of West Georgia, a doctorate in sociology from Emory University, and a postdoctoral certificate in organizational behavior from Tulane University. Oh, and to top it off, she's also a mediator. I think it's safe to say that Sandy's probably the only adult in this room that could probably actually qualify for our scholarships if we had them. So that's fantastic. I was reading the bios. It sounds like one of our kids. I didn't know it was Sandy. It's my pleasure to introduce her, and I'm really happy to get to talk to her, that she gets to talk to you guys. Like I said, I've known her for about 18 months now since she came to this area, working with USF. She's a great leader. University of South Florida, Sarasota Manatee is something to be reckoned with. Some of the best staff, the best academics, the best professors, deans. We are very lucky to have the school in our area. I don't want to take up too much of her time. Dr. Sandy Stone.
They have to make adjustments in the world for short people. That's right. Well, I'd like to thank Jim and everyone at Kallins Little Delgado for inviting me to be here with you tonight. It is indeed an honor and a privilege to share this celebration of student achievement. I recently served as a judge for the Bradenton Herald's Golden Herald Awards, and experiences such as that and this scholarship dinner confirm for me that our future is in good hands. As an educator, it always brings me great joy to see students who are dedicated to learning, who challenge themselves to maximize their potential and successfully achieve their goals. So first, I'd just like to say thank you to all the students for your commitment. I'm sure there are lots of other things you would have preferred to do a lot of the time besides schoolwork. So given that each of you is already amazing, I wondered what I could say that might help make the transition into the next stage of your lives a little easier. I thought about what might have helped me, and I thought I would share a little of my own journey and some of the things I continue to learn on a daily basis. Although I was born in Chicago, my family is really mostly from rural Tennessee in a part of Appalachia. And my family, my parents didn't make it in Chicago very long. They came back to the farm. So I was a little baby when we moved back to the farm. My family were farmers, miners, and factory workers. My father left school in 7th grade to work in the mines and help support his family. My mother graduated from high school, one of the very few of our extended family who did so. Although they did not have a lot of formal education, my parents managed to make their way and provide for me and my sister. They worked hard, they suffered many hardships and setbacks, but they never gave up, nor would they allow us to do so either. When I was growing up, we never had much money, but we always had a large extended family, a church community, and many friends who provided a safety net. We learned to be resourceful and make the most of what we had, and we learned that when things did not go well, there would be a new day to start over again. I worked my way through college and graduate school, and with the help of scholarships, like what you are receiving tonight, I managed to get through with very little debt. But it wasn't always easy, and sometimes I wanted to quit. But my family and friends kept saying, "Don't give up." So I persisted, and I'm very glad I did. I've had many challenging jobs, and I've switched careers from social work to policy research to higher education as my interest in life and my life situation changed, and as I believed I could have a greater impact by doing something different. I've also had several challenging personal situations, but again have been encouraged by family and friends not to give up, and reminded that there will be new opportunities to begin again. For me, persistence has paid off, as I'm now head of a regional university, and in my personal life have 2 wonderful adult children, and have been married to my husband over there for almost 26 years. I was recently nominated for an award, and part of the application required me to write a letter to my younger self. I thought I would share the main things that I included in my letter with you. As you begin a new phase in your lives, perhaps even leaving your homes and the family and the familiarity of your friends and community, I would like for you to think about the following 5 things. I know the common wisdom is that when you're talking to a group, you should only make 3 points, but you're all very smart, so I think you can remember 5. And I also want to point out that these are things I keep reminding myself of all the time. So here goes. Number 1, be resilient. Although you've been really successful up to this point, you might not always make an A. You might not always win. You might not always get the job, promotion, or raise that you want or think you deserve. And things will not always go the way you want or think they should, and your relationships might not always work out. But don't give up. You are smart, strong, and very special in your own way. Follow your dreams, set your sights high, stay positive, and keep going no matter what. Each day is an opportunity to start over. In her book, Choosing Happiness, Stephanie Dorick suggests these things to keep you thinking positively. Monitor closely what you pay attention to, as that will occupy your mind and determine your mood. Monitor how you describe situations to yourself. Challenge self-defeating thoughts. If there is a problem, look for a solution. If there is no solution, just accept that and move on. Know that whatever you are currently feeling and believing, good or bad, it will pass. Cultivate your capacity to learn from every situation. Give up the pleasures of self-pity or resentment. They hold you in the past. And practice gratitude. Practicing these things will help you stay grounded, and keep you on track. Number 2, nurture your relationships. It is important to remember all those special people who have helped make you who you are and have helped you get to this point in your life. Preserve those relationships and make new ones as well, as you will need a variety of people to help you along the way. Especially as you get to college, make a point of establishing relationships with your professors. We chose this profession because we truly enjoy working with students, so let us help you. We can help with academic concerns for sure, but also with career choices, networking, internship opportunities, and job or graduate school references. Seek mentors and don't be afraid to ask for what you need. These may be some of the most important relationships you will develop outside of your families, and they will be with you for life if you so choose. Ways to establish and maintain healthy relationships, both at work and in your personal lives, include keeping your promises, respecting others' values and points of view, holding others' interests in mind, behaving consistently, respecting boundaries, practicing empathy, and working through conflict. Number 3, take responsibility for yourselves and the direction of your lives. Listen to your head and your heart, and as the Saab commercial used to say, make your own road. Only you know what sets you on fire and gives meaning and purpose to your life. Don't do something because someone else wants you to or not, because you think you should or not, or because you think that's the best way to be successful, unless it truly fits your own personal values, passions, and the desired outcomes for your own life. You have more power than you may think. Be the master and commander of your own lives, not the victim of someone else's. Each moment we're faced with choices. We can choose our thoughts, words, and behaviors. We can choose to acknowledge mistakes and move on. We can choose to be forgiving of ourselves and others. We can choose our friends and lovers. We can choose not to be defined by external successes and failures. We can choose to be different from others without disrespecting them. We can choose to focus on our strengths and not obsess on our weaknesses. We can choose to reinvent ourselves. We can choose to start over every day. Choose wisely. Number 4, be reflective. Take time out to periodically engage in self-reflection and see if you're on track. And if not, determine what you need to do to realign with your personal mission. It is important to take time out for yourself on a regular basis, including adequate sleep, exercise, recreation, meditation, or whatever it is that makes you feel better. Tune into yourself, be clear about what is important to you, and be honest with yourself about whether you are living in accordance with your own personal values and goals. It is very easy to be distracted about 100% of the time, to be busy, to be externally focused. However, it's also critically important to stop sometimes and just be. So don't lose touch with who you are and why you're here. Periodically, it's a good idea to ask yourself these questions. What is really important in my life? Who is really important in my life? What am I trying to achieve? What would I be better off doing more of? And what would I be better off doing less of? If you're very honest, you might be surprised at some of the answers. And number 5, reinvest. Each of us has a unique set of talents we bring into the world, the workplace, and to our respective teams. I believe it is our duty to try to make the most of these talents and find ways we can enlist them to give back to our families, friends, and the larger community to make the world a better place. Deepak Chopra says everyone has a purpose in life, a unique gift or special talent to give to others. And when we blend this unique talent with service to others, we experience the ecstasy and exaltation of our own spirit, which is the ultimate goal of all goals. You are well on your way to reinvesting, as I know many, if not most of you, completed community service hours during your time in middle and high school. We all look forward to seeing what incredible things each of you will accomplish in the future. Kallins Little Delgado provides a great example of reinvestment as well, as they have been successful and in return are giving you an opportunity to succeed. My boss is fond of saying to students, first you learn, then you earn, then you return. However, the benefits of service to others are also experienced by the giver, not just the ones on the receiving end. Again, from the book Choosing Happiness, there are some tips on the benefits of generosity. It takes you beyond yourself. It brings out the best in you. It opens your eyes to the reality of other people's existence. It lets you make connections with the most unexpected people. It lends itself to small gestures as well as large. It subverts greed, fear, and insecurity. It doesn't depend on learning, privilege, or status. It doesn't depend on being religious or spiritual. It springs from a belief in our inborn goodness. It is an act of faith that all lives matter, and it benefits our minds and bodies as much as it does our spirits. So as you gain more education, status, and wealth, remember the value in giving back. Your acts of service will make a difference for individuals, families, and the community as a whole. As I said in the beginning, I believe our future is in good hands. I believe in all of you and the countless other students preparing to graduate in the next few weeks and begin to make their way in the world. And I believe that whatever you decide to do, you will indeed make the world better for all of us. I know your families and teachers are very proud of you, and you should be very proud of yourselves as well. I wish you all the best in your future endeavors and ask that you please let me know if I can help you in any way. I'm at USFSM right down the street, and I'd be glad to do anything I could to help you succeed. Thank you so much.
Sandy, do you mind if I steal that from you? Earn, learn, and return. I think that is fantastic. I think we just got our new poster for next year, earn, learn, and return. All right, our next presenter, the great Dr. Marc Kallins. What can you say about Marc? Just go through some of his awards. Castle Connolly's Top Doctors, 2012-13, Patient's Choice Award, 09 through 11 and 14. Compassionate Doctors Recognition, 2010, 2011, and 15. The former chairman of the board of Blake, former chief of staff, and the founder and former president of Pinnacle Medical Group. That's who he is as a professional. And there's a lot more. I cut that short. There's a lot more. But let me real quick tell you who Marc really is. I remember it was our first parade party. I was a brand new attorney. They had just hired me. And we threw these really great parties. Our old office was on Manatee Avenue, and the DeSoto parade, which just happened last week, I would go by there, and we'd have these great big parties. It was fantastic, great huge parties. Everybody would come. And I'd heard about Dr. Kallins. So he comes up to me, and before him, I didn't meet any doctors that weren't related to me, so I didn't know what to do. So I said, Dr. Kallins, and he stopped me right there, and he goes, call me Marc. And to me, that said it who Marc is. He's not Dr. Kallins. He's Marc Kallins. Loved by his patients, his friends, his family. And as a matter of fact, when you come up here tonight, you're going to see why Marc is very unique and one of a kind. He breaks all stereotypes of what a physician should look like. He is not rude. He is not dismissive. He is nice. He's one of the warmest people I know. But without further ado, Marc, can you come on up, present the Ed Kallins Award. I did tell you he was original.
I was going to offer some extensive prepared remarks, but I'm just going to defer to Dr. Stone. Everything that she said, I felt like it was a meditation. I feel like I had a therapy session, Dr. Stone. I just, this sense of warmth washed over me. It was a beautiful, beautiful discussion of what all of these people here really need to consider and do in their futures. And I remember one thing, one of my daughters was in the show business industry, and she was in a show, and she talked to one of the old crotchety actors, and she said, well, what do I have to do to succeed here? And he said, learn to accept failure. Now, yes, in that business, you go for auditions, you're told you're the best, you're the smartest, the brightest, the most talented. The world will stop rotating if you're not available. But it's not always that way. However, I'm going to stop right here. And Scott, I'm really sorry about what he said. First it was the thing, and I think we can be honest. First, it was about the microphone, and we all got a little chuckle out of that, but Dad never said that. Dr. Stone, I did want to ask you, what is being an expert in organizational behavior? Because I think I could use some of that. What?
It's not about being organized personally.
Okay.
It's about helping other people in business.
Okay, Wonderful. I'm up here to be a presenter. Thank you very much. And I think we might as well dispense with all the accolades. You're all smart. You're all accomplished. You're all very good at everything. You're contributors to mankind and society, so we can just get that all out of the way and go to other things. The person I'm going to present is an outstanding example of why Scott and these wonderful other contributors to our community have had this event, because this is a person that has strength, character, accomplishment, true goals, a good heart, and wants to do good for mankind. But we'll put that on the side just for a second, Sydney. I want to spend a few minutes talking about this group of lawyers, because in all of the years that I've been a presenter, I've never really spent any time. Think about these guys. They're all successful. They're well known. They do well financially. They don't have to do this. They do this because they really have a legitimate concern for the development of youth and the concept that Scott elaborated on, which was come back home, bring your talents, your energy, your abilities to help expand on this community, which has not only grown enormously, witness a major university setting that's now growing by leaps and bounds, but by the nature of all the talent that's being developed here. So I want to thank Scott and, you know, Art, we got to bring you, Art, stand up. Art Cohen, come on, stand up, Art. The lonely member of Kallins, Little Delgado. And Jay, all right. You know, those three names keep coming up. How long does it take to make partner as a lawyer? So now that I've thanked you all, I'm going to go over the resume of very lovely young lady, Sydney Johnson, who will be coming up in just a moment. And Sydney has had her share of challenges, and she's had some medical issues to deal with in her life. And I asked her, do you want me to mention this? Because it is a powerful element for anyone to deal with, to have something that they're going to carry with them their whole life and isn't going to be easy. And she's done that with grace, and I think that anybody that can overcome personal problems, especially of a chronic medical variety, and then go on to persevere, to succeed, to disregard all of those other elements, not buy into it, not become your condition. I'm a disability doctor. That's what I've done, and I understand these things. I think that in itself is a tribute to a person's inner strength and their desire to move forward and not be stopped. And one of those, how many was it, 5? 5 things, Dr. Stone? Okay, I think I only got the first 3, but okay. Sydney has, among her accomplishments, an enormously successful academic career throughout high school, 2 honor societies, AP Scholar, tutoring of other students, student council, science club, a volleyball MVP in your former athletic career before you turned to biology and a future of medicine, charity events, hospital volunteer, etc. Congratulations to her parents, Jeff, who's in the container industry, and Peggy, who's a realtor, on rearing a wonderful daughter. Come on up, let's give you your trophy. These got to get the lawyers up here to get credit. Hold on. I got to enter, get in the picture. Yeah, hold on one second. You take this. You gentlemen want to come up and take a picture with you? You do that later. Yeah, we'll do that. All right. Thank you all very much, and congratulations to Sydney and her parents. Okay. Sydney.
Do you know what it was like growing up to be the youngest with that in the household? It was a treat. Our next presenter is a lifelong resident of Manatee County, 1987 graduate of Palmetto High School. Dan's a graduate of the University of Florida. He's a Gator with a BS degree in agronomy and agricultural extension. Dan has been for the Manatee County Fair for 15 years. He's now the fair manager. He's a director of the Manatee County Fair Bureau, and he serves on the state board for the Florida Farm Bureau. Dan West resides in Palmetto with his wife Tracy and their 3 sons. I'd like to introduce to you Mr. Dan West. Thank you. Thanks.
Sure.
Good evening, everyone. It is a real honor and privilege to be here this evening. I'm so happy that I'm not supposed to call him Mr. Kallins any longer. I'm so happy that Scott, thank you for inviting me. I really do appreciate it. It's a wonderful event. And I've learned so much since I've been here. The young man that we're going to bring up here in a second found out that his mother and I went to Palmetto High School at the same time. We're just 2 years apart. And I just found out that the first recipient, her grandfather, was my Sunday school teacher at Palmetto First Baptist Church. So, and I already know a lot of people. I went to high school with these folks' cousin and played basketball. So I've got to see a lot of people I hadn't seen and meet new people, and I sure do appreciate that. But I'm going to ask Elijah to come on up. Just have to stand right here. I'm so happy to be here and be part of this this evening, and standing here with this recipient, Elijah Bowers. He's going to be the recipient of a $1,000 scholarship. Elijah is a student at Bradenton River High School, and that's okay. That's all right. We went to Palmetto, where he has been a member of the soccer team and track and field squad for several years. After reading letters that were sent on Elijah's behalf from faculty members at Bradenton River, I could tell that Elijah is a serious student in the classroom. I could tell that right off. And according to one teacher, and I quote, it says, Elijah makes the most of every learning opportunity. He always volunteers to share his views during discussion, is willing to ask questions when needed, and can always be found helping other students. Elijah is consistently, he goes above and beyond and shows a real commitment to academics, end quote. Also, from reading his bio, Elijah is a community-oriented person, and he has volunteered for 4 years at the YMCA and the nonprofit organization People for the People. Elijah plans on continuing his education at the State College of Florida, where he plans to obtain his bachelor's degree in business management and administration and continue on to earn his master's degree. Now, I just want to read something that Elijah wrote in his application. In his own words, he said, I feel that I'm a good candidate to receive this scholarship because of my determination and strong desire to help make a difference in my community. My parents have set a great example by starting a nonprofit outreach organization called People for the People, where together we have impacted the lives of so many people in our community. I have been a volunteer youth member of this group for over 5 years, as well as 4 years with the YMCA. This has inspired me not only to give back, but it has also convinced me that there is so much power in unity, that together we can really make a difference. He says, I plan on attending State College of Florida and want to major in business. This degree will allow me to connect with others in my community, create opportunities that will inspire hope, and ultimately prove that dreams really can come true, especially to our youth. I thought that was fantastic. My parents have given me so much in life. We are certainly not the wealthiest family, but the love we share for one another overrules that. I will use my degree to develop community centers and business opportunities to help motivate change. My mom always tells me that people don't really care how much you know until they know how much you really care. All in all, I believe that being awarded your scholarship would be just the stepping stone that I need. Mr. and Mrs. Bowers, I got to meet you for the first time this evening, and I have to tell you, you have set a great example for your son, Elijah. And we just applaud you for the ideals and the love that you have instilled in your son. Elijah, I know that we're going to be hearing more about you as the years go, and we want to wish you luck, and I just want to say that I look forward to working with you in the future as well. Congratulations. Okay. Let's come over here, we'll take a picture. Pictures later? Here we go. Congratulations.
Okay. Our next presenter. Who doesn't know Charles Clapsaddle? I've known Charles Clapsaddle about 17 years. If you don't know him, I'm sure you've seen him. He's a guy with the really, really cool white hair that gets to every event at least 2 hours early. and leaves about 2 hours later and tapes everything. I've known Charles for so long that I know one thing: he can't say no. Plus, he's got great people tonight. He brought Casey with him tonight. And I think this is the first time I've seen Charles sit down at an event as opposed to running around, working it, and moving the camera. So thank you for being here. He is our, he's the station manager of Manatee Educational Television. It's a great station, a lot of local programming. Just a really good guy, I'm telling you. Next time, pay attention. If you're at any local gala, charity, political, any event, you name it, look around, you're gonna see him. Those guys work their butt off. You know, the behind the scenes people, it's easy to be up here, we get all the credit, we talk, and then we sit down. They got here before us and they'll leave after us. So Charles Clapsaddle, thank you very much for coming. You're up.
You guys are killing me with these mics here. You know, somebody's 6'4", and then we have somebody. They're adjustable. Yeah, so I'm going to adjust them for me. First of all, Jim, thank you very, very much. And it's a great honor to be here and see so many familiar faces and meet so many new faces. And it's my great privilege and great honor tonight to introduce and honor our next scholarship recipient, Estefani Olvera. But Estefani, I'm just going to take a moment here because I want to take a point of personal privilege and talk a little bit about Kallins Little Delgado and their community involvement with the students in our community. It's recognizable that your generosity and commitment has truly made a difference in so many young lives. But just as importantly, Kallins Little Delgado has demonstrated a commitment and dedication to our community that goes above and beyond what is expected. Whether they're involved in civic engagement with a vision for our community, development and outreach, or if they're dedicated to developing young students, or if they're involved with countless community boards and nonprofits, Melton Little, Scott Kallins, and Jim Delgado care about this community, and they want to make it a better place to live and work and raise a family. Kallins Little and Delgado does all of this and more with the simple premise that it's the right thing to do. These are men of integrity, dedication, and commitment, and this community is very fortunate to have these individuals like Kallins Little Delgado as role models and as community leaders. And years from now, when these young people that we're honoring tonight are lawyers or doctors or mayors or city councilmen, someday they may look back and remember that in some small way, Kallins Little Delgado made a difference in their lives. And not only do these young people here tonight owe Kallins Little Delgado a debt of gratitude, but this community does for all that you've done, and we thank you. Now it's my great honor to welcome Estefani Olvera. Estefani, could you join me up here, please? As I was reading the material that Estefani provided about her background, there was one thing that we share that's really incredible. She has a wonderful thing that she has not missed a day of school in the past 10 years. This is remarkable, and for that, you know. So Casey, listen to that. You know, I'm sick, I don't feel good, it's raining, you know. In 10 years, she has not missed a day of school. It's a remarkable achievement. And I want to read just some of the great things that Estefani has accomplished. As a student at Bayshore High School, she's an honors and dual enrollment student with a weighted 3.9 GPA, which is incredible. She has a wonderful academic aptitude, and her perseverance is something that should be noted. She's kind, she's compassionate, and she's committed. And during high school, Estefani has been devoted to JRRTC on the drill team, the academic team, the Raiders team, and she's also been the supply and logistics officer. She's an avid student, avid meaning the advancement via individual determination. She's also been involved with her chamber orchestra, receiving the most outstanding junior award through her school. She's in the Math Honor Society and student government. But she also gives back, too, through ROTC, her junior ROTC. She's also helped with Manatee Memorial Hospital, and now she also works in the evening with at Water's Edge. Is that correct? So there's a remarkable thing. She wants to go forward with her degree and get a bachelor's degree in health, exercise, and athletic training. But I did want to share one thing with you from Estefani's essay, which I found really remarkable and really touching. And she writes, "My father has worked in the tomato fields planting and picking tomatoes. In this scenario, I'm the dearest seed that my father has planted in his life. And now, with all the lessons he taught me and made me the intellectual that I am today, it's my turn to turn the sprout like he did, but in this case, in education. By improving my life with a profession and making my father proud, and maybe he will feel that one of his dreams would have been accomplished by seeing me achieve my most wanted desire, and that is to go to college. And thanks to this Kallins Little Delgado Scholarship, that she can continue that." Estefani, congratulations.
Thank you very much,
I'm going to take over the hosting duties for the rest of the evening,
You
Scott.
did a very wonderful job at it,
And look, they were perfectly met.
and everything is still in order. Our next presenter, I've known since I came to Bradenton. My very first job in Bradenton was working for an old, salty, crusty, snuff-snorting lawyer who had been a judge and was just a general guy around town who was smart and capable and very knowledgeable. His name was Bob Schultz, and Bob's now gone, but he was just a great guy to work for, especially as a young starting lawyer. And Bob's office was directly across the street from the downtown firehouse. And every morning, I don't know if any of you have ever witnessed this, but it is a mandate that every morning the firefighters in Manatee County, when the shift changes, the new shift has to rush into their uniforms, then rush outside. They have to clean all of the equipment, no matter how spotless and clean it all is, because their chief at the time, Chief Gallo, mandated that the city's equipment would be spotless, that it would be perfect, that it would be operating. In the event they needed to save some property or some lives, it was ready to go. And I don't know whether it was Chief Gallo, but it was somebody there, and I'm sure it was at his direction. Well, my nickname was Doogie Howser because I looked like I was about 12 years old trotting off the court every morning and coming back. But that was my first experience with now Councilman Gallo. Councilman Gallo is a lifelong resident. He graduated from Manatee High School, I think, around 1899. Was that your class? That's what I thought. He has served in a tremendous capacity as the fire chief for Manatee County. The city of Bradenton. He has held numerous positions of leadership in firefighting and life-saving organizations, not only statewide but also nationally. He is now our Councilman Gallo, and through his leadership, we really have a tremendous city. It is really my honor, my privilege to call Councilman Gallo a close friend, and at this time I would like to call you to the podium and please offer our next scholarship. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. I am somewhat sorry that Marc has left the room because, Scott, what Marc said and was not what you always told me. And I knew your dad, and he told me that also. So you It's always a privilege to come here. I was invited last year, and I'm very humble to be in a room full of intelligent people. And after I talk a while, you'll know what I'm talking about. I'm not a college graduate, and we'll get into that before I introduce the young man that I'm going to talk about. But I do have a story about a weekend in New Orleans that Scott and I spent watching Florida football, but I promised him I wouldn't tell it, but we had a good time. What I wanted to talk about to the students especially, and some of you parents can relate to that, is the word commitment. I think that most young people that I've talked to that have committed to go to college made that commitment very young in their life, very early I should say, and they've stuck with it, which I'm very proud of. And I'd like to tell you a story about what real commitment is that might parallel college education, but more than likely it would be more to the profession that Scott Kallins is in. I played golf with a foursome in which Scott was in early, but he didn't stay in very long because he couldn't afford it. But it was a foursome that was committed to play golf every Saturday. That commitment was strong enough that if it was lightning or if there was a hurricane or whatever, we played golf. And that was true commitment. And there was one fella that had replaced Scott that was probably the most committed of all four of us. And one Saturday we were playing up in Ocala, and the golf course that we were playing, for those gentlemen and ladies that play golf, was in a residential development. And there were roads that went through the golf course. Sometimes when you go from 4 to 5, you'd have to cross the road to get to 5. And we had been playing for, 3 or 4 holes, and we had to cross the road. And as we started to cross the road, we noticed coming down the road was a hearse with about 10 cars behind it. And there was a funeral procession coming by. Well, normally this one fellow would say, come on, let's get across the road, let's get this over with. I mean, he would pass people on the golf course when they were playing too slow. And he stopped us. He said, stop. And we looked at him, and as the funeral procession went by, he took off his hat and lowered his head in respect. Well, I had to ask him, because I knew how committed he was to golf. I said, why in the world did you stop us from crossing that road? We could have already hit the ball. He said, well, after all, he said, I was married to the woman for 35 years. I should show some respect. So that in my mind is commitment. Hopefully that the commitment you have is a little bit better than that. I'd like to say a little bit about Scott and his partners. I've had the opportunity to have Scott call me a number of times when he had some issues inside the city that he wanted me to take care of legally, because our attorneys don't do anything illegal, we know that. But anyway, people have asked me that I work for, when I push people real hard to get it completed, whatever he's asked me. They said, why do you do that? I said, because Scott is a man who helps other people. And what you see tonight is exactly what he does. He does it in every phase of his life, not just scholarships, but I can assure you, anybody he knows that in fact needs help, Scott will be at the front door. And I love you, brother. You do a great job for this community. You really do. Now, to get on to the young man who I've had the privilege to meet tonight and talk with his parents. I didn't take any notes, by the way. He is a young man that most any mother and father would consider it a privilege to have as a son. If I had a son other than the 2 daughters that I had, he would be the young man that I would want. That's the kind of individual that Vincent is. He attends BCS, Bradenton Christian. He has a 3.85 GPA. And when I was looking at this at home, I pulled out all my records from high school at Manatee, and I added up the 3 years that I was in high school, and it didn't come to 3.85. So I consider him a genius. He has a tremendous amount of community service. Just a few of the things that he was involved in was basketball camp, soccer camp, Red Cross training. And he had a number of things that I was very impressed with, and the more I read them, the more I said, golly, this guy can't be true. So instead of reading every one of them, which was about 40, I thought I would pick out 2 that interested me. And someday I'm going to ask you to explain it to me and how you did it. But he won the Woody Herman Jazz Award, and Woody Herman is my favorite. So I picked that out right on top, and I want you to show me, or I hope you recorded it, but I would love to hear it. And he also was a member of the National Society of High School Scholars. And to me, it doesn't get any better than that. I think his parents are very proud of him. He wants to major in biology, but he put a little note by there that after he got his major, he wants to go to a much more difficult college to be involved in pre-med. And I admire that. Vincent Rehfeldt, if you would come forward, if I pronounced your name right, I hope. Congratulations, son, and best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Would you like to say about a 30-minute speech before you say?
Thank you.
Take care. Congratulations again.
Our next presenter, the mayor of Palmetto. One of the things that you've noticed in the last few years is things that she's been behind is the revitalization of Palmetto like we've never witnessed before. I don't know if you guys noticed that Palmetto's going through some extraordinary changes, and we're still going through some changes. She spearheaded Sutton Park, the revitalization of Sutton Park. Beautiful place, just to go out there and see it. City service improvements, beautification. Her most notable thing to date was that she was the Grand Master of the Kallins and Little Delgado Halloween Hall Bar Parade. I'm sure that's an honor. I'm sure that's like at the top of your list of things to do. Without further ado, our mayor, Mayor Shirley Bryant.
And what he didn't say about the parade was the fact that in my vehicle, which was provided by USA Steel Fence, we were dressed up as gangsters. And I had on my flapper outfit with a feather. And actually, Butch Glasgow was dressed up in costume as well. So we had these plastic guns sticking out of both sides. So I may need that for my campaign. You know, who knows? But you may want me to send you my bill when I get done. I do support all the businesses in Palmetto. And I do take care of a lot of business in the restaurants because it allows people to approach me. And that's important to me, that people feel that they can come and talk to me. I am so honored to be here tonight. And I'm hoping that Kallins, Little, and Delgado, after I kind of go through my little bit of my first part of my speech tonight, they'll understand why, time and again, when I run into them, I keep thanking them for what they do for the scholarships and for the kids. Because when my parents, they were both from families of 13. Both being older in their families, my father got to go through 3rd grade. My mother through the 4th grade. At a certain point, they all, being older in the families, they all wound up working in the fields. So the idea of actually getting an education in our family, you know, for my mom and dad, it was a golden ring they could not reach. So education was cherished. It was preached constantly. I remember conversations over and over with my mom and my dad would say, you know, life can be cruel, can be unkind. The economy, you know, they grew up in the Depression, very hard times. And they said, but no matter what life brings you, if you get an education, that can't be taken away. So in our family, that was preached to us daily, how important an education is. So that's why whenever I would see Kallins, Little Delgado, any of the trio, I would have to say again, thank you. And I would hope that each of the recipients here this evening would return to our community and emulate the example that has been set by the benefactors of tonight's scholarships, and give of yourselves to improve our community. I'd like to again express my appreciation to Kallins, Little, and Delgado for all they do. Not only are they personally engaged in the organizations, they've put their money where their mouth is. They give back financially through the scholarships such as tonight. I've reached out to them for some organizations in the community that needed some assist. Gladly, they accepted my hand as I reached out to them. They met with me, and they've offered that help. And not just financially, not just personally, but through their firm to assist them with some legal help as well, to bring them. And we're talking about a multitude of youth that will be impacted by that assist that they're working on now. So it doesn't just stop with their what they've done. They continue to do things for the community. So can I send you my bill? No, they've done and continue to do a great thing for Manatee County, and just personally and in behalf of the community, thank you all. The scholarship that I am so honored to present tonight is in memory of Pastor James Tripp Battle. He was the pastor of Bayshore Baptist Church, but sadly his life was cut down in 2014. He left an indelible mark on this community. He had a passion for bringing young and old alike to Christ by sharing God's words. Very few people in our community were not touched by Pastor Tripp Battle in some fashion. He endeared himself, and he was able to spread his message through warmth and openness, sharing some of his personal facts, especially with the youth in the church, such as his favorite movie was Goonies, and the fact that he was colorblind. And knowing that he had flaws and you know, the uniqueness of his character, that endeared him to the young people. And it created a closeness and a bond with him that again helped him in conveying his message and bringing them to Christ. It can truly be said that he made a lasting and far-reaching difference in our community. May he rest in peace. The recipient this year is Monica Gilly. If you come up and join me. Monica will be graduating this year from Bayshore High School, even though I'd rather been Palmetto. It's all right. With a weighted GPA of 3.9355. Pretty good. To name a few of her accomplishments, she's in the top 10% of her graduating class. She's in the National Honor Society, Mu Alpha Theta, Math Club, and one of my favorites that I thought was very unique and outstanding to me was American Sign Language Club. And think about that, reaching a segment of our community that is oft left out. So that especially spoke to me. All the while playing on the varsity girls basketball team. She had so much community involvement, I won't even go into it. I don't know when she slept. She has over 1,200 hours of community service to her credit. This summer she's planning on working, and she's going into biology. And the one thing I would say, I think she'll make everybody here proud. Having spoken to her a little bit over dinner, I think she's going to exemplify the type of person you want to continue giving these scholarships to. So I do believe that Pastor James Tripp Battle and his family would be very proud of the selection this evening. So congratulations.
Thank you, Mrs. Mayor. Councilman Gallo spoke to you about commitment and what that truly means. And if you think about how much of a commitment it takes for someone to graduate from high school, go on to college, then from that point go into law school, become an attorney, practice law in a ferocious environment in New York City, and then decide that that wasn't quite enough of a challenge, that going to Europe, learning a foreign language, and studying medicine would demonstrate a real commitment. That's what our next presenter accomplished. But in addition to that, being an attorney and being a physician and a practicing doctor here in Manatee County for long time, begins with 3 and ends with 0, over, right? Also going back to school and seeking a master's in business administration, I think you will understand the commitment that Art Cohen has to education and to further advancing himself and bettering his community. Art came to us a couple of years ago, and it has been such an incredible pleasure to practice with such a bright, interesting, funny, knowledgeable, capable, and helpful person. Anecdotally, Art will come into the office and he'll plop down into my chair, and I can pretty much guarantee the rest of the morning shot, because we're going to have conversations that are extraordinarily in-depth, always real funny, always super interesting, and usually end with wherever that city is, the best restaurant to go to, and what meal to get, and how much it's going to cost. Art's a really great guy, and I've enjoyed so much practicing law with him. And in addition to being a practicing lawyer and a physician and the chief of staff at Blake Hospital, he is here to present the next scholarship. So I give you Dr. Cohen.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm not quite 6'4", but I have to raise the mic. And just a few anecdotes. First, thanks to Ann Northrup, because but for her texting me last week, I wouldn't be here. And the first thing I did, this being a new generation, was put the event into my Google Calendar, but on the wrong day. So I used to have a secretary who would write all of these things down and put Post-it notes over my dashboard. But now I rely on this thing, and I find I'm wrong half the time. That's sort of anecdote number one. But I appreciate you texting me, which is another thing. I grew up when there were no televisions, and when I went through various graduate schools and college with a slide rule. If any of you have ever seen a slide rule, I had a plastic one and a bamboo one. The second thing that happened was I thought I was going crazy. I felt like Yogi Berra, deja vu all over again, because Charles, last night, I'm currently Chief of Staff at Blake. I'm also the Medical Director for We Care Manatee, which is the Medical Society's volunteer medical clinic for the indigents. I just volunteered for that. I'm not sure why. That's an admission of insanity. But last night, Blake Hospital had its annual event honoring the Doctor of the Year and the Nurse of the Year. And so I was asked to give an interview, and I see this guy here thinking, wow, am I going crazy? He looks like the guy I saw last night. So that was Charles, who filmed me last night, and here I am again. What else can I say? Scott and Melton and Ann and the whole team at Kallins and Little. I'm of council, which means I'm sort of part of the firm. So when someone else dropped out to speak tonight, Ann knew she could call me and have me fill in. And I have no ego. I'll speak anywhere, anytime. I've lived in Manatee County for 37 years. I grew up in New York City. I'll tell you a little about my history. I come from an immigrant family. I was trying to explain this. And last year I gave a talk on the Bill of Rights on Law Day at one of the middle schools or junior high schools where I grew up. And it sort of made me reflect on my family history. I'm first generation American, Russian, Polish. Father could not go to college because he had to work in the Depression to support his family. He did so by playing basketball and betting on his games. And my grandmother was a bootlegger during the Depression. But that's beside the point. And there was never any negotiation about me going to college. I was very successful in my choice of parents because they were very successful. But everybody always worked. And I do career development talks sometimes for people who are dual or triple or quadruple degreed. I know people with all sorts of initials after their name. I'm a certified mediator. I'm a certified healthcare risk manager. I sit on the board of trustees at Blake Hospital. And then I was reading the resume of Meredith Roberts, and I didn't have to pull out my old records to know my GPA did not add up to hers over 4 years. My kids went to school in Manatee County. My daughter is a college professor at Valencia College. My son is a businessman, lives in China. I am in several professions which are under siege, and education is under siege right now. And we have doubts in the system. We have doubts about the quality and level of education. And then we come to tonight, and we know that these are the top 10 kids. We know there are 90 other kids who are just like these, and I don't know how they made the selection. I don't know what the differentiation was as to the composition, the GPAs, the public service, but it sort of reinforces your faith in the system that we are producing people like this. And we do have these wonderful kids going to college. I have a Bachelor of Arts, a Bachelor of Science, a JD, an MD, and an MBA, which they didn't know I could read till I was in 8th grade because I hated school and I'd cut classes, and my mother was always going to school. So I didn't have that degree of achievement in college. And as I read these resumes, I wonder, like everyone else, where they find the time to do this. So Meredith, come up here for a second. So Meredith is a soccer player, and I was trying to get an idea of what she liked to do, and she said play soccer, and I asked her about texting and other things. I'm not going to tell you what her GPA is. I don't know how you get more than 4, but you do, and she has it. But the thing that most impressed me was, what did you call this? The Project Heart, homeless education and resource team that she put together. And the one thing I've heard through all the people getting the scholarships thus far, and I suspect will be continued with the next 3 or 4, is the amount of public service she has put in through her 4 years of high school. Is it 4 years here? Yeah. It's like, where I went, it was junior high. Here it's middle school. I don't get the difference. Oh, sorry. I went through junior high. Here it's middle school. But anyway, I'm proud to give you the check. You deserve the check, and you deserve to succeed. Your story about the ACL tears is interesting to me. I've had 5 leg surgeries. I've been reconstructed hand by orthopedics. I've been rehabbed for 1.5 years to keep functioning. And it was when I was doing triathlon training that I learned that God didn't create me to be a triathlete. So anyway, congratulations. success in the future. I have no doubt but that you will succeed. And Ann's going to, or I'll let Ann answer that. Great job. Your parents are proud of you. We're proud of you. Oh, there we go. Get it closer. Good luck. Oh, I'm sure you will do well.
Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Jay, and I'm the youngest member of Council of Delgado. And I get to spend a lot of time working with Art, and I have this real privilege to practice with Scott, Melton, and Jimmy, because I was born and raised here in Bradenton, and I did what they're wanting you to do, come back. And I just like to thank them for taking a chance on me. I got the application of the next award winner, and I started looking at it. I said, okay, all right. Both went to the same high school, had the same unweighted GPA, and that was about it. That's all we had in common. Because this person, I'd like to call her up here, Abby Shafi. Please come on up. So she attends Southeast High School. She's in the IB program. And I've never seen someone with so many varied interests. So she's great in the classroom. She had a 4.7 GPA, which is off the charts. I guess she had to take a couple classes that weren't honors. And she's in the top 4% of her class. She has great dreams and aspirations. She wants to go to USF. Got to talk with her a little bit. She wants to become an ophthalmologist and follow in her father's footsteps. He's also in the medical field. He's a dentist. And another thing that's really big and important to her is politics, and that came through her essay. She moved from Iran when she was 6 years old to Dubai, and then she moved over here to Kentucky and ended up here in Bradenton. So that is just a big thing for her, and she's also wanting to earn a lobbyist degree in addition to a medical degree. And she's done a lot of lobbying, and I don't know how she does it. But again, just a great student, top 4% of her class, and the recipient of a $2,000 scholarship award.
Oh, it gives me great pleasure to have the opportunity to announce the next presenter. Our next presenter shares space in our office. He has an office in the very front of our building. It's easy to find if any of you come by because the lights are never turned on. That's because he's camouflaging his whereabouts, because I often go looking for him, not luckily enough to find him ever, because he's always out talking to a group, participating in some community event, developing ideas, issues, and commentary on the community, both Manatee and Sarasota, for which he's really actively involved. But he's also a really good lawyer. He's very concerned about the community. He's a really good friend to Melton and I, and it was a blessing when he came to us 15 years ago to practice with us. And that would be my critic, Jim Delgado.
Well, I thought that was really going to go bad. No secrets were divulged. All right. As you can see, you know, again, we spend a lot of time, we're close. We always rib each other, again, I'm going to tell you that. Scott thinks I'm his little brother. And thank you, Marc, because whatever you did to him, he does to me, so thank you for that. And then Melton, he just kind of shakes, looks at me, and just walks away. So it's fantastic. Before we keep going, I wanted, there's some people that have not been thanked. The parents. Let's give it to the parents of the students. And I'm going to tell you why, because I understand where you come from. I am lucky that I have 2 students like yours. My son, as a matter of fact, took his last test today at Emory from his first year at Emory, and he will be coming back tomorrow. I get him back. And my daughter is studying for her 2 final exams. She's a freshman in high school. So to you parents, I know that it's not just the child that's brilliant. And not that the parents are brilliant, because I am not. My wife is, I am not. But the hard work it takes and the constant work it takes that we do to make sure our children, those students, have everything it takes to do. That goes from the lights on in the morning, right? Because they never thank you for electricity, right? Then they never thank you for the clothes. They never thank you for a warm place in the winter and a nice cool place in the summer. They never thank you for living within 15 minutes from the beach. They don't thank you for the taxi ride all of a sudden. Hey, we changed our mind. We've decided to go X. I'm about to go out on a date with my wife, and now I have to go be a taxi driver. They never thank us for that. What do they tell us? Well, you had me. You had me. So to you parents, you should be very proud of yourself. You've done a really good job. It's a lot of hard work on both sides. You know, they have to pick up the books, but we have to make sure they pick up the books. So I thank you guys. Now, thank you, parents. Christian, you're going to have to come up here for this. Come on up. Come on up. Don't stand too close. You make me look bad. I was going to wear the exact same thing. You wear it better. Now, I'm going to go over the few of the basics, and then I want to read something that Christian wrote, because it kind of moved me when I looked through this. His activities, right? The normal, the standard for this crowd. Academic debate team, fantastic, love it. The Future Business Leaders of America, the National Honor Society, the Mosaic Academy, the University of Cambridge Award, the Yale Book Club Award, coordinator of the HYPE program at the Palmetto Youth Center. Mayor Bryant, you know who's coming back to Palmetto, right? Right there. I'm going to tell Reggie about him tomorrow. Make sure that he doesn't get too far away from us. As you can see, Palmetto's kind of a thing with us, right? You see the trend? Palmetto, Manatee County, Palmetto. I'm learning, Mayor. I'm learning. I'm a little Mexican-American kid that's learning. Tutor for the Palmetto youth, the youth group. That's interesting. Tutor of the National Honor Society. And he wants to go to UCF to be an engineer. And he's employed. And he works. Maintaining that GPA, maintaining everything, and works. Everybody has a story, right? We all have a story. Some are harder than others. And a lot of these resumes, I've read them. I helped prepare with my son, or he was preparing for college. I know what they go through. And you can open up a book, you know, and there's a template. You know, you must put this, and you guys know what I'm talking about. You must put this, and you must put that. But what happens is at the end of that prepared template of the letter to the university, it's sterile. Because the question they're asking is, well, who are you? What is it? Yes, we know you did good. We know you got a lot of good stuff. But it's every single applicant also. This paragraph, and this is what sticks out. And this is why we paid a lot of attention to these, like Scott was saying, we pay a lot of attention to these essays, because what we want is we want to hear, what are you? By the way, Abby's is a fantastic one, too. It stood out, and I can't forget that one. That's a different one. Ask her about her family background and how many different times her father went to dental school, how many different starts he had, which I think is fantastic. Sorry, I had to point that out because that one really stood out. And so did Christian's to me. And I'm going to quote from him. I am Christian Zanders, and my story is similar to many who have grown up in my environment. I am the product of environmental, situational, and economic challenges that have shaped my spirit and perspectives about my culture and the world. I have been reared by a mother who has instilled ethical mores based upon biblical principles that will impact my life's choices toward a life of promise. Now, this is the one that did me. According to the trending data regarding African American males living in a section of town dubbed as the Ghetto, I should end up a high school dropout on or selling drugs, the teenage father of several children, and headed for incarceration. These statistics are why a college education is important to me. Growing up in an environment where people expect me to fail, I have always been determined to enter the college world where great minds join together and make the world a better place. Why does that impact me so much? This says who he is. This is who he is. The 10 of you in this room are all special for very similar reasons. There is something about you that makes you special. We didn't just draw a random number and pick you out of the bag. There was something that was in your essay. There was something you did that made us think, wow. Because GPA, let's admit it, everybody had a high GPA. And I still don't, I'm with you, Art. I don't get how you get over 4.0. It's like 110. How do you do 110%? It's 100% or anyway. But this is who they are, and we've all said it here tonight. It's easy to turn on the television, read the newspaper, and hear the negative about us, about our youth, right? They're entitled. We hear it all the time. We're entitled. These millennials don't know what it's like. You know, when I was a kid, we had outhouses. I walked both ways up the hill. We didn't have this. You know what? Please, let's quit saying. Let's make a promise to quit talking about how hard it is when we were young, because every generation has it easier than the next. I did not have an outhouse. It was pretty easy. So my kids have computers. It makes it easier. They don't have to go to the encyclopedia. So what? But everybody still has it rough, and everybody still has to live life. These young kids are some of the brightest, some of the most well-rounded kids they have. While you look at the internet, and we may all look at the internet because we're getting old and we get off our lawn, but what we're not realizing is that they're exposed to a lot more than we were exposed. And what we should be doing is, how do we harness all that material they're reading? How do we allow them to harness that and take advantage of it? They are our next savior. These kids represent a lot of other kids out there. They're not alone. It's not just these 10. There's hundreds of kids like these. Let's turn our attention to them and try to help them. So it's been my pleasure to say that Xander's won the $2,000 Kallins, Little, and Delgado Scholarship Award.
We have two more scholarships. We have two more scholarships. We have a $2,000 scholarship and a $3,000 scholarship remaining. So I guess by process of elimination, the $3,000 scholarship winner will immediately know who she is or he is upon the announcement of the $2,000 scholarship winner. My partner, Melton Little, usually shares the weight of handling the emceeing responsibilities at these functions. Jimmy was very happy to hear that Melton was a little under the weather so that he could jump in and share his disproportionate portion of the spotlight. But in our effort to keep things equitable, and also so that you folks would have the opportunity to see and hear truly, in my opinion, one of the best lawyers in the state of Florida. Melton is board certified in 2 areas of law, family law and civil trial. At last count, there were 9 lawyers of the 52,000 lawyers in the state of Florida to have that distinction. He's an AV lawyer, which means he has been rated by peers as having the highest aptitude and ethics in the field of law. I am so lucky to be able to hook my wagon to him. He's just a brilliant lawyer, a tremendous advocate, and a great person to have on your side, loyal and dedicated, as well as incredibly smart. I'm going to give you, how long are you going to take, Melton? About 2 minutes? I'm going to give you 2 minutes of his time as he announces our next scholarship winner.
I guess the good news is for those of you who haven't been here to these before, you're going to get out about 35 to 40 minutes earlier since I didn't share the MC duties. Kind of have to look through these microphones. I want to thank Scott and Jimmy and Jay and Art, obviously Ann and Heather for all the work they did in putting all this together. I want to thank all our presenters, especially the doctor. I thought her message was very enlightening. And thank each and every one of you recipients for applying for the scholarship, for the work you did, for the efforts you put in, and all of our presenters who I know are more than happy to be here to recognize what we hope is the next generation of Manatee County's best and brightest. It's my pleasure to award the second $2,000 scholarship, and that's going to go to Gracie Wilson. And it is very difficult to differentiate between each and every one of you in selecting these. All I can say about Gracie is a few things. She was president of the student leadership team. I just picked out a few of these things. She held the lead role in the musical production of Grease. She was on the varsity women's golf team for 3 years. Maybe she can play with Councilman Gallo. She had over 230 hours of community service. She was in Phi Theta Kappa National Honor Society. She was inducted into the National Honor Society. She participated in the talent show, selected to play the guitar and perform her own composition. She created a business called Critter Sitters in Lakewood Ranch, where she was the founder and co-owner of a premier pet care business. She did some traveling while in high school. She did an immersive summer experience where she went to China. She's visited England, France, Scotland, Canada, the Bahamas, the Grand Caymans. And for the past 3 years, she's worked with a socially responsible e-commerce company called, I hope I pronounce it right, Elemendi.com, which is products that are ethically produced in the U.S. to contributing to socially conscious projects. She's our first recipient, I think, who attends the SCF Collegiate School. I think she's the first person we've had from State College of Florida Collegiate School. I believe, or no, she was dually enrolled, correct? Yeah, State College of Florida Collegiate School. So she's our first person from that facility. And what was really interesting to me was one of the reference letters she had from the Elemendi company, where they said when we had and I'm quoting the reference letter, when we had the opportunity to use a hand-woven textile from a village in Peru in a modern project, Gracie was my first choice for the project. She ensured the design was appealing to the youth of today, functional, and still honored the history of the weavers from the village. Her design of the iPad cover, which I hope each and every one of you will buy at some point, will go into production and will be available in 2016, with 5% of the sales from that particular product being donated back to the village in Peru. So in addition to all of those things, of course, she was dually enrolled with the 3.89 GPA. And I congratulate Gracie Wilson as our second $2,000 scholarship winner. Come on up, Gracie.
All right. Let me just get my stuff. Okay.
All right, so that leaves one more award, so I guess you know who you are and how much you won. But fair's fair. Since Scott introduced me, I will introduce him. And again, Mark, hey there. Obviously, I could sit here and make fun of him because it's one of my favorite things to do. But I think that's enough. I think I've had enough. Scott's a very good friend of mine. And as you can see, me and Melton and Scott been together for a while. We've mentioned Dr. Cohen, but what I was thinking is we really haven't mentioned Jay Horn a lot. And Jay is, I'll get to you, Scott, for a second. Jay is been with us for 3 years now. And let me tell you, in 17 years, he's probably next to me, probably the best hire we've ever had. Jay Horn Well, I am up here. Jay Horn is one of the brightest attorneys that I've met in many years. As you can see, being an attorney, right, a lot of egos. You know, everybody's got, everybody wants to talk. We fight over the microphone. It's all about us, us, us. One of the things that Scott and Melton taught me many years ago, it's not about us. It's about our clients and what we do. Well, Jay gets that. Jay doesn't come in thinking about, what do I get out of this? What is my money? What is my fee? What is my this or whatever? He actually cares about the client. And we commiserate about how we're going to help the client. And he's just a fantastic young lawyer. I wanted to give him some props because poor guy, we just kind of got up here, say, go talk, and then go sit down. But hey, that's how it is at first. But let me tell you, one of the brightest, youngest lawyers in this area is committed to public service like we are, bought into our ideology, fits us like a glove, and our youngest brother is Jay Horn. So thank you, Jay. Now, Scott Kallins probably has the largest vocabulary, well, probably next to Art and Marc, of anybody I've known. I remember one time Scott was talking to me, and he was saying something, and I shook my head like if I knew what he was talking about. I didn't understand a word he said. And I went to my office, and I couldn't even spell the words. So it's kind of like, thank God for autocorrect, because I thought, this is what you really mean. I looked it up, I was like, oh, and I thought, well, why didn't he just tell me scissors? Why this language? Just tell me I have a pair of scissors. But let me tell you, one of the best mentors. I like to, if you haven't noticed, I like to put people in terms of stories and something that they did or they said that lets you know who they really are. Real quick, and I'll get to you, Scott. I know you guys want to go home. It's getting late. But this is important. This is our night. We're giving you money. Sit here and listen to us. All right? So I'm a brand new associate. With that time, it was Kallins and Little, and I'm a brand new associate. And I had this old Jeep, and I love this Jeep. It got me through law school, through me, and my dad could tell you, that Jeep went four-wheeling. It is not supposed to, and it went four-wheeling. And so I had this Jeep, and we're going out to lunch, and Scott looks at the tires, and he tells me, you need new tires. You're going to have an accident. Your tires are balding. And I was like, I didn't have any money. Sherry and I had only been married, I don't know, less than a year. We had a baby at home. Literally at that time, every penny counted, you pay one check and you're hoping the other one clears quickly. And I told him, well, as soon as I get paid this month, I'll go get some tires. Me thinking, I don't know how I'm going to pay for tires. I don't know how I'm going to pay for 4 tires. So he looks at me, he says, hold on a second. So he runs upstairs and he comes down. I didn't know what he got, didn't care. So he goes, you're driving. So I'm thinking, wait, this guy just told me my tires are balding, now he wants me to drive. So all right, so I drive and he tells, I said, where are we going? He goes, just go up 9th Street. It was 9th Street? 9th, go up 9th Street in Bradenton. So all right. And we get to this corner, he says, pull in there. And it's a tire place. Pulls my Jeep in, and he tells me, get what you want. So I said, all right, well, I figure I'm paying for it. Sure, might as well get it. So I tell the guy, this is what I need. These are the tires I need. And he said, all right, fine. Be back in an hour. We'll hook you up. And I looked at Scott, and I'm thinking, how am I going to pay? I'm thinking, well, maybe it's a friend of his who'll let me have a payment plan. I needed everything. Remember, Sherry, everything was on a payment plan. Remember layaway? Everything was layaway. I like that Snickers bar. Can I put it on layaway? The big one. So Scott walks up and says, I'm going to take care of it. Again, so I look at him, I say, you guys can take it out of my check, right? I'm thinking, take it out of my check. I was thinking in small increments, but please take it out of my check. Scott looks at me, and like I said, these are things that you never forget. And why I've been loyal to them. I've been with them for 17 years. They were together 6 months before I went on board. They are home, they are family. And this is what does it. And this is what means more to me. He says, no, it's no big deal. They're just tires. He goes, you don't owe me anything. He goes, you're part of our family. Don't get in an accident. Don't worry about it. And I thought, don't worry about it. I had never, ever heard somebody give me, basically they gave me, I think, $1,200, $1,300 out of his personal checkbook, because I saw it, and said, don't worry about it. That, to me, is Scott Kallins.
Now let me tell you the real story about it. All right. Jimmy's dad is Puerto Ricano, and his mom is Mexican. And Jimmy's very proud of his background. And about 2 days before that, Melton and I have been driving around, and we pull up. Y'all know where what's the Turner's Donut Shop is at 9th and what's it 9th and 9th, I guess. And a block away from there, there was a little filling station or a tire store. And there was the coolest looking lowrider parked there. And I said to Melton, let's go there, let's buy it for Jimmy. Let's make him drive it around. We're going to make him drive this lowrider. So we knew, and the whole game was, we're going to like tell you got bad tires and we're going to make you buy this new car. So we got there and the car was gone. So I felt so bad. We bought him, actually Melton bought half of them. So we got him a new tires. So it was, so actually we really felt bad. It was funny, it was bad. You remember that, Melton? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was your idea. All the bad ideas are Melton's. All right, Olivia, come on up. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Olivia Hoey. And Olivia is the recipient of our grand prize tonight, or actually grand award. It's a $3,000 scholarship. And like Art said, and like Dr. Kallins said, and like Councilman Gallo said, and like Mr. West said, and like the mayor said, you guys are all bright, you're smart, you're capable, you're hardworking, you're diligent. You are who we want to come back. That's the theme, that's the goal, and that's what I told you all. That's our goal of this scholarship, to allow you the opportunity to go out to college, go out in the world, develop a trade, a profession, something that's valuable, and bring it back here. Well, Olivia is going to do that, as are all of you. She is a member of the National Honor Society. She's a member of the Medical Arts Academy. She was the class president at Manatee High School of 600 children. She's a YMCA team leader. She's in the Renaissance Club, Young Life, on the volleyball team, varsity 11th grade, 12th grade, basketball 10th grade through 12th grade. She was a cheerleader. She's attained the White M Academic Achievement Award for a GPA of 3.8 or higher. She's a member of Renaissance, GPA of 3.5 or higher for each and every quarter of high school. With the YMCA, she has been a coach. She's been a mentor. The thing that really stuck out to me, I was chairman of the board of the YMCA years ago for a couple of terms, but to put in 1,275 hours of community service takes some sincere dedication. It takes away from your time with friends, time with your books, time with your family. And to do all of that and to be in the top 1% of your graduating class is exemplary. It was a task to differentiate between all of you. Any one of you could have won the $3,000 scholarship. Each and every one of you deserves a $3,000 scholarship. It just so happens on this day at this time, Olivia, who is absolutely, positively a spectacular, great, strong-hearted, strong-willed, dedicated, hardworking YMCA kind of kid, is our winner of our $3,000 Kallins Little Delgado Scholarship. I know, it's hard to say. But her goal for the future is one that's going to require the same type of diligence. She's been through some traumatic experiences, as have many of you. Hers, which I agreed not to necessarily share in its entirety, but it focuses on the reason why she wants to pursue a career in medicine. And hopefully with this $3,000 scholarship, you're going to be able to persevere and do that. And I want to congratulate you. I want to thank you for submitting your application, as I do to all of you. And with that, good job. Okay, we would like all of the recipients to join Anne in a moment, one moment, to take a photograph. You have a closing comment, Jimmy? No? Melton? You got, Jay, come on up here. Jay's been noticeably absent in his oratorical skills through Toastmasters. Come and join me with our commencement. Once again, we really want to recognize and thank all of you guys for the hard work, the diligence, the perseverance that you've demonstrated. All of you have fabulous essays. Your curriculum choices have been strenuous. The results of your challenges have all been successful. Jay's a shining example. Jay went to Southeast. He was a member of the Golden Quill. Is that what it was?
Golden Feather.
Golden Feather, Quilly. His nickname's Quilly. International Baccalaureate. This is an example of what we are hoping to see amongst you. A smart, dedicated, hardworking individual who's not afraid of challenges, who's willing to come back to our community and make a difference. So with that, I'm going to leave the microphone with Jay, and at the conclusion of Jay's wrap-up comments, I would like all of you to please join Anne for a photograph. Thanks again. I hope you all had a good time. I hope all of you met one another. As I indicated, I think that you guys are going to be running the show in a few years, so give each other a little time, shake hands, get to know where each of you are going, where you're going, share an email address, and keep up with one another, because you never know, in about 5 or 6 years, as you are all running the show, it's nice to know the people who are working hard and the people who can help you in whatever endeavors you choose in the future. All right? Go ahead, Jay.
So there for a little while I thought, gosh, I'm not getting an introduction or anything. Then I just got 2, so great. Now I need all you guys' help because I want you to tell Scott, Meldon, and Jimmy that I need to be on the next commercials. Okay? Okay? So, but on a serious note, everyone here who won an award, congratulations, kudos, and hopefully you can follow in my footsteps in some regards and come back here. And it's a great place to live. It's a great place to raise a family, have a community. So, everyone, thank you. And now it's picture time.